Going on YouTube? I'm really looking forward to his fight. I don't really see too many people talking about Chris Algieri against Errol Spence. But out of the many fights we have scheduled, this is one of my favorite ones for many reasons. I'll explain in a minute. But I really like this fight, and I really don't see anybody talking about it. I haven't seen any videos on YouTube. I'm sure there's videos out there, but I haven't seen anybody talk about it. And I don't see anyone talking about it on social media like that. But I really like this fight for a number of reasons. First of all, Chris Algieri, tough. He's had a tough road. He's been one of the most criticized fighters. A lot of people don't respect him. A lot of people respect him a little bit more now, but he hasn't really gained a lot of respect from the fans, And even me, I've criticized him on his channel. I actually saw his fight against Ruslan Provatnikov, and I thought Ruslan still did enough to edge the win, but I was not mad at the draw. I actually went to that fight, and I thought Algieri did a little, I thought Provatnikov did a little bit more to win the fight. And then Algieri got the fight with Manny Pacquiao. And I wasn't happy about that fight. A lot of people was ranting and raving about how it was a cherry pick back then. But Chris Algieri got knocked down like 6 times in that fight. But he was still able to go 12 rounds with Manny Pacquiao. Okay, and then Amir Khan fight came up, and a lot of people were upset with that fight, including myself, again, because a lot of people felt that Amir Khan was cherry picking, Algieri was coming off of the loss against Pacquiao. He didn't look that impressive against Ruslan Provatnikov. Well, let me not say he didn't look impressive because, he showed his toughness in that fight. He had like the first 2 rounds were hell for him in that fight with Ruslan. But fighting Amir Khan at the time, a lot of people thought Amir Khan was cherry picking, and that ended up being a tough fight for Amir Khan. In fact, there's people that even say that Chris Algieri won that fight. Okay, John David Jackson is training him now. He fought Eric Bonet. I did see that fight. I don't remember how it really played out because I haven't seen the fight since that fight. But I do remember the Khan fight well. I do remember the Provatnikov fight well, and I do remember the Pacquiao fight well. With all that being with that being said, I like this fight because Errol Spence hasn't really. And listen, I've praised him. I've made videos on him. I've said on camera what top fighters that I think he can beat at welterweight. And I think he would be a tough fight for anyone at welterweight, no matter who it is. I think he'll be a tough fight for anyone already. But he hasn't really proven himself. That's just my opinion on what I see. I mean, he's very technically sound. He does have some power. He has the youth. He's defensively, he's pretty good. But we haven't really seen him fight anyone that good yet. I mean, this is a huge step up for him, regardless of how you think or what you feel about Chris Algieri not being a big puncher or whatever. It's a huge step up, in my opinion, okay? And at least Chris Algieri has been in the ring with some top fighters, okay? He fought Emmanuel Taylor, a guy that's been in the ring with Adrian Broner, which was another competitive fight. I seen that fight too, and Emmanuel Taylor gave him a good fight, He's been in there with Taylor. He's been in there Bonet. Bonet has been in there with Sean Porter. Gave Sean Porter some trouble early on. Not too much trouble, but, he definitely seemed like he was the more technical between him and Sean Porter. He did have a little slickness to him, and he was countering Porter at times. So that was his last fight. He'd been in there with Amir Khan. He's been in there with Pacquiao. He's been in there with Ruslan. When Ruslan was still, I think Ruslan is still on a decline. So he'd been in there with Ruslan when Ruslan was still a headache for anyone. And I'm saying he's not anymore, but it's good. It's a good fight for Errol Spence. It is a good way to compare Errol Spence performance against Algieri, against, with all the other fighters that Algieri has faced, okay? Especially Manny Pacquiao and Amir Khan. Now, this is how I feel about the fight, okay? The thing with Errol Spence is I haven't seen him fight anyone with any kind of movement. Errol Spence has been fighting guys that stood right in front of him, okay? Usually able to walk him down with his power and his counter-punching ability. And the guys were just usually just standing right in front of him, all right? And this is the first time that he's really fighting someone with some kind of speed and some great footwork. And I haven't seen him fight anyone like that since he's been a professional. The only time I've seen Errol Spence fight someone with really good footwork and hand speed is the guy he lost to, the Kazakh fighter. I don't remember his name. You know what? I wouldn't even try to say his name because I would probably butcher it. But that Kazakh fighter that he fought in the Olympics and lost to had great footwork. I mean, really good footwork and good, quick hands. Very fast hands. And I don't even think Chris Algieri has the footwork this guy had and the stamina and hand speed that guy had in the Olympics. But this is a professional fight here, so it's not. You can't really compare. I don't know if that guy is fighting professional right now. I don't know where he's at. I don't know what's going on with him. But I did see that fight, and he looked very good against Errol Spence. All right, and Errol Spence has improved since then, of course, but still, that I haven't seen Errol fight someone with that style since that match he lost in the Olympics. And Chris Algieri is the closest you're gonna get to that. Okay, they don't fight exactly alike, but at least you're gonna fight a guy that's kind of quick, got good footwork. So he could cause problems for Errol Spence, and not only that. Chris Algieri has taken beatings from Provatnikov. He's taken beatings from Manny Pacquiao. I just don't see Errol Spence stopping a Chris Algieri. All right, I'm not saying that it can't happen, but this is a fight that I think is going to go 12 rounds. Okay, how is Errol Spence going to look? Is this? I believe this should be a 12-round fight. If not, it might be a 10-round fight. I didn't check, but I feel like Chris Algieri is going to circle him. He's going to fight more like how he did against Ruslan Provatnikov and Manny Pacquiao. He's not going to be aggressive like he was against Amir Khan. And in fact, who knows about that fight, I mean, we can question a few things. I don't think Amir Khan was prepared for him to be so aggressive. We've never seen Chris Algieri fight like that ever. I know I haven't, and I've seen a good amount of his fights on YouTube. And I've seen his fights, like I said, I've seen his fight live and everything. But I don't expect Chris Algieri to be the aggressor walking Errol Spence down. Okay, I think he's going to be using his footwork in this fight and, using his jab and being more of the slick version of Chris Algieri in this fight coming up. That might be a problem for Errol Spence. I don't know. I have no idea. This is why I like the fight, because I want to see Errol Spence fight a guy that has some slick skills, has some great footwork, has some good speed, and has toughness, that's seemed to be pretty durable. I mean, regardless, he got knocked down plenty of times. He got up every single time he's been knocked down in his career. So I'm looking forward to the fight, all right? I'm looking forward to see Chris Algieri is with John David Jackson, very good trainer. One of a lot of fans like him right now. He's one of the top trainers in the sport right now, in my opinion. And Errol Spence, maybe he could expose Errol Spence. I don't know who's gonna win the fight. I'm still leaning towards Errol Spence. I think Errol Spence is still going to do enough to win the fight, or this fight might end up being a draw. You never know. This might be a fight where neither one of them look good enough to pull off the win. This could be one of those fights right here that I know a lot of people is just looking at it as Chris Algieri, but Chris Algieri has he does have the skill and he does his style might be a problem for Errol Spence. That's what I'm saying. All right. This is not a guy that Errol Spence is gonna just be able to walk down. All right. He's gonna be able to take the punches, and if he does get dropped, he's gonna get back up and keep coming. All right. And we can see if Errol Spence how he looks later in the fight. You know, when he's not able to stop his opponents. Usually, he doesn't have any respect for whoever he fights. I don't think that's going to be the case, you know. Chris Algieri is going to do a lot of moving. He's not going to be able to really sit down on his punches. He's going to be more defensive in this fight. Okay. So I'm really interested in this fight. I like this fight. Okay, I like this fight. I know I've been hard and tough on Chris Algieri at times, but I respect him as a fighter. I definitely respect him as a fighter. You know, I just didn't like some of the fights that he's had not because of him, but because of who he faced at that time. You know, but I do respect him, and I do like this fight. And at least, you know, if Errol Spence is able to stop Algieri, then that would be extremely impressive, in my opinion. I think it'll be very impressive if Errol Spence is to stop this guy, or at least win the majority of the rounds. You know, just be dominant, or as dominant as Pacquiao was, or even close to that. I'll be very impressed with Errol Spence. If not, you know, if Chris Algieri is able to, you know, beat this kid, you know, the kid that a lot of people wanted during the fight recently, that will put Chris Algieri back on the map. Because at the end of the day, I think Chris Algieri is always going to get fights. Okay, he's a name now, and you know he's been in the ring with some good fighters. He's always going to get good fights. You know, a lot of people don't really see him as a dangerous opponent. It might be a tough fight, but not a dangerous opponent. But in this case here, it could be dangerous for Errol Spence if he doesn't fight well against movers, all right? So anyway, that's the video. I just wanted to speak on it real quick. I don't know who's going to win. Like I said, I'm still leaning towards Errol Spence getting the decision against Chris Algieri. That's my pick. But, you know, I really wouldn't be surprised if it's a draw. I really think that it might be a draw depending on how Errol Spence does against a guy that's going to not be standing right in front of him, all right? So give me your thoughts on this fight, and I'll see you guys on the next video.